They say home is where the heart is. Well, in today's show, it's home is where the art is. Grab your walking shoes, because on today's Go, we're taking you step by step through Whistler's 12th annual Art Walk. We're here outside Millennium Place, which is the starting point for this year's Art Walk, taking place June 27th until August 31st. And the color coordinator next to me, Andrea Mueller, is one of the people in charge of this year's Art Walk. So Andrea, first of all, just that, how does Art Walk work? What's it all about?
So Millennium Place is the starting point for Art Walk. You can pick up your Art Walk guide, which has a map on the back and leads you through to find all the different venues that are taking part of Art Walk. You can also follow our little red flag to take part in all the activities.
Yeah, so we've got 60 different artists taking place, 40 venues. You can find these flags around town. How does it work? People just go in and just browse the art. Obviously, you've got the map here as well.
So you can shop, you can explore, and you can win prizing. You can pick up the guide, and inside the guide you can actually collect stickers to win. So collect all stickers to spell the word Art Walk. Drop that off either here at Millennium Place, the Information Center, or up at the Westin at our pop-up studio, and you'd be entered to win original artwork.
Okay, I'll talk more about those contests later on in the show. But many different cities do this throughout BC. I know Art Walk is becoming very popular, 12th year here. Why the need to bring this to Whistler?
So Whistler, it's a little bit difficult for artists to have representation all year round. So it gives artists an opportunity to work with the business community as well, and to have a place to showcase their artwork to a global community.
Yeah, and how much has it really kind of increased popularity-wise? Have you even seen, being at the Arts Council, how big has this become in Whistler? It's your biggest arts festival, I know.
Right, and on June 27th is our opening reception night. So that fills up the entire stroll with people who are taking part in all the activities. We have over probably about 40 local artists that are going to be taking part as performers, as musicians, creating live artwork on the stroll. So it's a great event, it's huge.
Yeah, and on top of that, you could see, as you mentioned, it's the first year you have a pop-up, a studio, where you can actually see not only the artist's work in the stories, but actually the artists working away, right?
Right, and that's going to be for the entire 2 months duration. So on our opening night, everybody comes out to bring the stroll alive with different art demonstrations, that sort of thing. But this year's the first year where you can actually watch live artists working throughout the entire 2-month program.
Yeah, see how much goes into their pieces, for sure. Okay, more with Andrea later on in the show. We'll talk about other contests you can join to win some other prizes around Whistler. But let's start to our first story of the day here on the show. Whether you're wanting to make a new pillow for your couch or maybe a blanket for your baby, taking up sewing is a fun activity. And thanks to a new studio in North Vancouver, it's easier than ever before.
The sharp sound of scissors shearing through a piece of fabric. The crescendo of a sewing machine stitching two sides of a pillow cover. It's all music to Christine Hambleton's ears.
I loved clothes and fashion, and I sewed for myself. My mom taught me to sew when I was quite young.
Knowing the value of creating something that's truly unique, she wanted others to discover the joys of sewing. That's how Made by Me was born in North Vancouver.
It's a lounge or a studio where people can come and take lessons. They can come and use the machines, they can come and use the cutting table, they can hang out.
Which is perfect for those who are constrained by a lack of space or equipment. People like Fiona Easton.
My own experience sewing is very elementary. So I can sew a straight line, and having the room to move in a studio like this is kind of exciting.
People are in smaller spaces and they either don't have a sewing machine, or they do, but it has to go on the dining room table. So it's nice if you can come to a space that's clean and it's bright and it's dedicated to sewing. So let's go take this over to a machine and get sewing.
Like many others, Fiona inherited a sewing machine from her mother, but she rarely uses it.
It's very, very old.
Today she came to the studio to make new pillow covers.
I like to think that I would be able to create some pillows.
If you've got patience and a sense of humor and the right instructor, I think it's pretty easy.
They start by tracing a pattern onto the fabric with a piece of chalk.
And then you won't see that because you're going to cut. You're going to cut on that line.
Then they cut right through.
The cutting is actually just as important, if not more important, than the sewing.
As the sewing needle rips through the fabric, magic happens.
You can start with something as simple as a tote bag and work your way up to making a beautiful dress or skirt or a pair of pants.
And with each snip of the fabric, Christine is there to help and guide.
Anytime you stitch a seam, you have to reverse at the beginning and reverse at the end. Sky's the limit. We can teach anything here. We can teach anybody how to sew. We teach as young as 9-year-old.
Having the time and the opportunity to create something with your hands gives you a sense of accomplishment.
And a big part of that accomplishment is being able to say it's made by me.
See, the things you can do in an hour. How great is that?
In North Vancouver, I'm Gina Tosi for Go West Coast.
Made by Me is located on West 3rd Street in Vancouver. If you'd like to learn more about their classes, also some awesome birthday parties they offer, be sure to swing by their website, madebyme.ca. Well, I'm here with one of the artists taking part in this year's Art Walk, making many things yourself, as we see behind one of the paintings you've done, Bea. Let's talk about your craft first of all. How would you describe your paintings that people can come into here, the real estate office, and see?
Well, I paint in oil, and it's landscape paintings, and it's representational, which means that you can recognize what the scene is. It's not abstract.
Okay,
yeah,
we like you type of artist, not as much guessing.
Yeah, exactly. So these are all places that I've been to, and I take pictures when I'm there, and then I go back home and make paintings from the photos.
Amazing. And what makes just that Whistler such a great place to seek inspiration for paintings? Obviously, you've got so many to show here.
Well, the beautiful landscapes that we have here are just very compelling, and so I have a lot of lovely photos.
Yeah, you do, for sure. And obviously, you've taken part in an Art Walk for about 8 years now or so. What made you initially want to take part when it first started?
Well, when you're first starting, well, throughout your progression in art, being able to show your work is really motivating, and it really motivates you to want to produce and want to improve and produce something that you're proud enough to show and have people see it.
Yeah, and how have you seen it kind of evolve? Or when you first started, did you just have a few paintings the first year, and it's just kind of grown from there for you? Yeah,
the first year I was a part of a group show in Millennium Place, so I only had to have a couple of pieces in that. And then I was at different places in Function Junction, at Delish Cafe, and Patina Home Interiors. So so now being in the Village is really cool, because this is, the Art Walk is mostly here, so this is really exciting. And being in Whistler real estate it's a great location. Yeah, it's different setting for your paintings you're not used to, I'm sure. Yeah. And just talking about that, we've heard it's a great idea and a space for people to get their work out there. Is that a real challenge, would you say, for today's artists, or just artists in general, is finding a way to get your work out there for the general public to see? Yeah, it is. It is, because that's really the ultimate goal, is for other people to enjoy it as well, and to progress to a point where your work is good enough to be shown. So participating in Art Walk really gives you a chance to get in a venue, because getting into a gallery it's really hard, and it's very competitive. Yeah. And so. Yeah, beautiful pieces here for sure. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Bea. Thank you. Yeah, and best luck on this year's Art Walk. Well, let's go to our next story of the day here on Go See the Sky. Switching to another art, the art of learning. We swung by Cheakamus Center to find out a unique method they're using to get kids outside.
I'm a strong believer that certain areas hold more energy or more certainly capacity for connecting, and this is one of those places.
That space, fittingly known as Paradise Valley, located just north of Squamish's city center, this hideaway includes over 400 acres of ecological reserve nestled along the Cheakamus River, a place one can expect to hear three of life's most vital sounds: water, birds,
is there salmon in here? Well, that's a great question.
And learning.
We begin by walking along the dike, looking over the river, and it gives them a chance to really see the differences in those habitats. Part of what we're going to explore here is what it is that makes this place so special for the salmon.
Since 1969, the Checkma Centre has served as an outdoor school for students, including this grade 3 North Vancouver class, to unplug from TVs, tablets, and any other electrical device and simply connect with the natural world. Today's lesson, salmon spawning.
We might really wonder how far they go.
The range of the programs for those students really depend on the season. They're here in September, October. We've got runs of pink salmon that are finishing off at that time. And following that, of course, the eagles arrive.
What I love about it is that it really is not just hands-on, but they really do participate in the functioning of the hatchery. So they'll be releasing the fry into the streams. In the winter time, they're actually catching the fish out of the streams.
Funded by the North Vancouver School District, Checkma Centre is a truly integrated learning experience, with each of its grade 3 to 6 students eating, sleeping, and taking part in daily field studies on its Paradise Valley grounds as part of its 2 to 5 day programs.
Those are the baby fish. So they grow from an egg into a baby.
From learning about salmon cycles and surrounding forests, studying pond samples, caring for farm animals, and more.
It's fun, and they like it.
For the up to 100 Metro Vancouver students living at the centre each week, each day brings an expanded curiosity and appreciation for the world around them.
It's like leather. Ho-ho, stay for an extra year in the streams. Learned a lot about how they catch and they count how many fish there are.
Let's go this guy here.
Handling frozen fish, the highlight activity for many of these kids.
It smelled really bad and it was really cold and it was really cool.
They come out with a much bigger connection to the actual places where we live. In a human-built environment, those connections are often hidden, but we rely on these things fundamentally.
That one's fun.
With many students returning 2 to 3 times throughout their elementary school years, each visit brings greater questions and learning for both sides.
That is a fantastic question. Why do they die after laying the egg? I'm actually learning from them regularly, and the questions are amazing. That's really what I'm trying to do. It's not about me just up here teaching and giving them all of this fact. It's more about getting them into the environment and building those questions for them.
Back with their brothers and sisters.
With the centre also offering Indigenous and sustainability programs for high school and adult students throughout the Sea to Sky corridor, when it comes to learning, just like its wide open landscape, the sky's the limit.
It's been recognized, certainly going back many, many years, that experiential education and outdoor environmental education in particular is just more engaging. We're so fortunate. We're on nearly 3 kilometers of riverfront on the Jacquemus River. It's a magical location. The scope with what we can be doing up here is really limitless.
After the break,
folk rock really describes it really well. We take a lot from those intimate moments, crying and partying. That's what we're really all about.
we get up close and personal with rising folk duo, the Wild Romantics. Welcome back to the show. We're here at the Whistler Real Estate Company, one of the companies taking part in this year's Art Walk, and actually of a large title. You're one of the main sponsors for this event, have been for many years. The man standing next to me is Pat Kelly, owner and president of the Whistler Real Estate Co. So Pat, just that, you guys have been taking part, I know, close to 10 years on and off in the event. What made you want to take part in Art Walk?
Well, it's an opportunity for us to connect with the arts community. We believe that arts, culture, performance is an important part and element of the resort. And it's important for, I think this is an event that primarily allows our grassroots artists to have a platform where they can be viewed without actually going into a gallery setting.
Yeah, and talk about that. You've got quite the display. I expected maybe 1 or 2 pieces when we came, but kind of explain the setup you have this year all throughout your office.
We decided to go with a little bit more artwork than we would normally have. We have 2 or 3 artists who are portraying landscapes on different mediums and some interesting still lifes as well. And we think it'll be a little bit more eclectic in the past, and combined with an opportunity to network and socialize with locals and tourists alike who may come to the event, we think it'll be kind of fun on Saturday.
Yeah, everyone wins for sure.
Yeah.
And you might make a sale while they're in here for a home. You never know.
Well, I wouldn't
Wishful
say
thinking.
that that's what we're going to be doing, but it is after hours, and we won't be closing. But this is also an opportunity for us to invite our clients, people who we have tried to impress upon that Whistler's more than houses. That there's a bigger lifestyle here, and this gives us an opportunity to invite our clients to come and look at the artwork. Some of them do buy things, but for the most part, it's a thank you to our clients. It's also a thank you to the artists that add a little extra color to our community over time.
Sure. So. Yeah, and we're seeing many more different businesses taking part in Art Walk, which is awesome. Realtors, other store owners. So
yeah. It's I think for people coming to Whistler, it's one of those things you don't really hear about till you get here. But you know, after you've done the biking, after you've done the hiking, after perhaps you've had one late night, you might want to do something a little bit different and take a look at some of the very talented people that we have in the community that should be featured, quite frankly.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Pat, for joining me. And I know
no
you're
problem.
a busy day of realty, so let you get at it there. We'll throw to our next story of the day here on Go See the Sky. They may be new to Vancouver, but the folk duo, our next group, are really making their mark. Let's head on down to North Vancouver, where one couple is giving us an exclusive performance.
We're probably terribly mundane at home and not romantic at all, but don't tell anybody that.
The Wild Romantics are a folk rock band that recently relocated to Vancouver from the island. And that's not just a band name. In addition to writing and performing together, they are together.
Find a man who will stick with me, 'cause the only man who has my heart is buried under 6 feet.
We were a band first, and then the magic happened. Oh, the magic happened right after our first show.
We kind of were just trying to like fool ourselves for a long time, pretending that we didn't like each other, and then we like had our show that night. We kissed for the first time, and it was just magic from there on in.
I want you back.
For the songs that you guys have released so far, we've heard some mellow sounds, but you guys have the upbeat stuff. You see the live show. I've seen you writhe around on the ground with electric guitar. How do you sort of describe the vibe, and what do you like to bring to the table as an artist?
We like to really honor both those moments, and I think, like, you know, as much as sometimes it sucks to be an artist and be like, we are this genre, folk rock really describes it really well. We take a lot from those like intimate moments, like we like love Bob Dylan and the acoustic stuff he's done, but also bands like Jack White and Shaky Graves, guys who can get you with that intimate moment and then be screaming and yelling the next moment, and you're just ready to party with them. Crying and partying, that's what we're really all about.
'Cause the only way I can see your face is when I find you in my dreams.
So the EP, Word on the Street, was actually made in our kitchen. So in our dining room, we're in the midst of making our actual first debut EP with Corey Woodward, and we're working on that, but we didn't have a lot of our new stuff to offer people, and we wanted them to get excited about that. Word on the Street is our 3 favorite new songs. You can get all of them for free on SoundCloud and Bandcamp.
So then how soon are we going to see that debut studio EP?
We're looking to drop a single in April, and then the studio EP will be followed shortly after that. It's going to be a good time.
We came together like a fist fight underneath the pale moon summer night.
There's nothing we would rather do than be up there with each other every night singing.
If you want to find out about upcoming show dates, go like them on facebook.com/The Wild Romantics. At the Capilano Suspension Bridge, I'm Paul McClellan for Go West Coast.
Underneath the pale moon summer night.
If you'd like to hear more of the Wild Romantic songs, you can also visit the band on Bandcamp and also on SoundCloud. And of course, you can visit them also on Twitter and on Facebook. Well, I'm here with local sculptor James Stewart. Thanks for joining me, first of all.
Pleasure.
Yeah, very busy, as we could see around your area here of many different sculptures. But let's talk about, first of all, you moved here in December. What made you want to take part in Art Walk this year?
Well, I mean, actually one of the main reasons is this visibility. As you can see, this is a tough area to find. I'm on the stroll, but I'm beside the movie theater and kind of tucked away. So I think having a map that enables people to actually search me out is really going to be helpful to find my work.
Would you say for artists that's one of the biggest roadblocks? It's not actually starting your craft, it's actually getting it noticed. Did you find that throughout your career so far?
Good point. Accessibility to an audience is really important. These days, having a brand and associating your brand with a certain buyer is really important, and I think the Whistler brand and the Art Walk brand go really well together with my work.
They definitely do. Gorgeous space you have here. So let's talk about that. You've been doing sculpting for 20 years. Really cool that you've traveled over 65 countries. Is that it, eh?
That's it. Still counting.
And you take pictures of things you see and recreate them. So kind of talk us through this one we have here. What made you want to recreate this camel?
Well, I was in the Sinai Peninsula, windsurfing actually, in this place called Dahab. And I was basically trying to find what I thought represented the Bedouin community. And the Bedouins basically are very nomadic and they travel everywhere. And so the camel is the most important. And I was actually photographing this little camel with this boy on top of it that was separate than this one. And then suddenly this little boy with this huge camel walks up. And I just was blown away. I mean, I only stand up to here.
Oh my gosh.
Up to his foot. So you can imagine how tall this animal actually is. So I was just taken aback, and I knew at that point this is the thing I had to sculpt.
Yeah, amazing. And what's kind of the process in doing that? That looks like it would take me probably 6 months.
You know, it took me a year and a half because I was actually supervising District 9, which is a little alien film kind of thing. And so I was doing this at night. And so all through the film, I'd come home every night and I'd work for an hour.
My goodness. But let's talk about the actual process. What exactly is this that you use, first of all, to create these pieces? What's the actual material?
It's an oil-based clay.
Okay.
So it's just like a normal clay, but instead of using water, you use oil. And what that allows me to do is leave it out for long periods of time, and that way it doesn't dry. And then from that point on, you then use a foundry where they mold it. And then from the mold, they then create a wax, and the wax is hollow. Amazing. They separate the mold, and then they basically do another mold of the wax, and then they melt out the wax from that mold and pour in liquid bronze. Wow. It's very complicated, and each one of these pieces is all welded together again. This is 20 pieces welded together in this camel.
Amazing. And on top of just that, you going off photographs you find, you also take photographs from people locally if they want you to recreate something.
That's a new phenomenon, yes.
Yeah, so let's go check out one here,
Sure.
Another one you have. Yeah, kind of talk us through this one. Did someone brought a picture and wanted you to recreate it, or?
Well, kind of. This is a horse that my friend basically is commissioning. Its name is Replica, but I'm going to use it as a Callahan horse. There's a lot of horse riding in Whistler, and there's a lot of people who love to buy horses. Yeah. So I've created it using the photographs from their horse to create this, and so I've often now been commissioned to make people's people's faces, yeah, or their horses, or whatever they feel is necessary on top of my other stuff.
Yeah, amazing. Just that, what do you want people to kind of take away from your pieces? Obviously they're all different, but what's kind of the common theme that you're trying to communicate to people at the end of the day? Well,
there's different categories. I think there's a beauty, obviously, in what's surrounding Whistler and the environment that we have. So when people do buy the bears and the moose and whatnot, I think they're inspired by the local area, and that's very important to support Whistler. Me personally, the traveling and trying to bring in a relatable international message that we're very similar is really important to me. So that's why you see so many pieces from around the world, is I think I'm trying to represent something that's innate in all of us.
Right, the human condition or qualities.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Well, very impressive pieces you have, for sure, James. Thanks for joining me. Okay, let's go to our last story of the day here on Go See the Sky. While fun and exciting, being a sled dog can actually be quite stressful for many canines here in town. We learned about a special program helping get these dogs back on their feet.
Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca.
How are you doing?
Good seeing you again.
Good. I'm here to check on Barnes. How's he doing?
He's doing so good.
After spending his entire life as a sled dog in the States and Whistler, making the transition to family pet turned out to be a downright terrifying experience for 8-year-old Barnes.
The first 3 months of a dog's life we refer to as the socialization period. If they miss out on experiencing being handled by kids, getting on a bus, seeing what traffic looks like, when they're older and they experience this for the first time, it's overwhelming. The problem with Barnes, he was very, very fearful. Beyond the anxiety that we typically see with a lot of sled dogs where they're just uncertain and unsure, Barnes was terrified.
Come on out, mister.
The Husky Shepherd Cross having spent the last year being cared for by Dr. Rebecca Ledger and staff here at the Whistler Animals Galore Shelter. Unlike traditional training methods, Dr. Ledger uses a clinical approach to treat rare cases such as Barnes and other sled dogs throughout the Lower Mainland.
What we're looking for is his emotional reaction to things. Because these issues are, they're akin to human psychiatry, the clinical way of looking at this is to understand what can we do beyond training here, what else does the dog need in order to recover from his mental illness.
Diagnosing, then pairing with veterinarians to come up with a treatment plan, including possible medications and daily exercises for staff like Lindsay to implement.
Introducing him to new people was kind of the first step with us so that we would be able to have new people working with him. So the way that we did that was hand feeding him his meals. Sometimes we would take him for walks around the shelter before he was comfortable to leave the shelter.
He has a preference for being on grass, hey?
Yes, or on the dirt.
On the dirt,
yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Ledger checking in with Barnes every 2 months, undergoing simple measures such as petting,
oh, good boy,
feeding, and calling him to measure his psychological state and progress, tweaking the plan as she goes, with even the simplest of improvements a celebration.
Good boy.
This is the first time I've been able to pet him, and he's not looking terrified.
He's taking little steps each day. He's able to go for walks with probably over 10 different volunteers now, which is amazing. When he's on his walks, he's going further and further. He's made so many dog friends at the shelter.
With the center having rehomed 45 sled dogs throughout the years, Zag among the current canines having also received Rebecca's care awaiting adoption at the Burnaby SPCA, her hope is to have more homeowners and caregivers learn to look deeper into pets' issues.
There's been more and more research coming out that shows us that dogs suffer from mental health issues that are akin to the same mental health issues that people can experience. Anxiety, depression, frustration. When we apply a clinical approach to dealing with these kind of problems with animals, the success rate definitely increases. At the end of the day, they're still dogs. And when they eventually transition into a home with a family, they become pet dogs. In fact, they're indistinguishable from the regular pet dog.
If you'd like to adopt Barnes, really cute fella looking for a home right now, you can visit whistlerwag.com. Okay, well, we're back here inside Millennium Place in the full circle around Whistler, joined once again with Andrea. So again, if you want to take part in Art Walk happening June 27th until August 31st, and we've talked about the different stops you can find in the brochure, but Andrea, also touch on, there's kind of an evening guide. People can also find out more information.
So there will be a separate evening guide. It's available on the night of the opening, which is June 27th. And it will have the list of all the different artists that are participating as musicians, as performers, and doing live demonstrations on the stroll. It also will include the listing of the different venues that are offering things like wine and appetizers that you can go and take advantage of.
Yeah, it really is a party along with just the art walk. I didn't realize it's a whole kind of big event surrounding it also.
Yes, definitely. It's a great night out. You can mingle with local artists, you can mingle with locals, and the visitors are more than welcome to come and join us and have a great time that night.
Yeah, for sure. And while you're doing that mingling and everything, also you want people to post their pictures to Twitter, Instagram. I know you've got an online little contest going on right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we want people to share their art walk moments, so they can take a picture, put it on Instagram, hashtag ArtWalk2015, and they'll have a chance to win different prints by local artists such as Chili Tom.
Yeah, gorgeous prints you could win, so start posting. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Well, that's our show today here on Go. Thank you so much for joining us as well. If you have any other questions you want to know about Art Walk or send us your pictures as well, you can find us online on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, you can view all of our art stories and all the other stories we cover on our YouTube channel. The link's on the bottom of your screen there. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Ybarra.